guys, I'm Miss Andrews. I am here at the CTHS campus and I am a vet science instructor here. I work with the 9th, 10th, and 12th grade students, and today we're going to have a little lesson on farm to table. You're going to get to take a seed and you're going to actually get to plant it to actually start your own growing process, and then you're going to actually create a reusable grocery bag so you can go to the store with your grandparents, your mom, your dad, and you can see the process that we are learning about today. So let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to follow the path, like I said, where we're going to follow the farm aspect of your food, and then we're going to see where it goes from the farm to your actual table, and that's through the grocery store, and that's through our distributors, that's through our transportation people all throughout the United States, and we're going to learn a lot about agriculture that way. So we will have the opportunity to plant the seeds that are provided in your kit. You should have a terracotta pot that looks like this. You will have a little, what we call a peat pot, that is kind of a cardboard material, and it's going to maybe stink a little bit, but that's actually to help the plant to grow better. You should be provided a paint pen that can come in a variety of colors, but that's just to decorate your pot however you'd like to. And then you are going to have seeds that were provided to you. They came in a pouch like this, but I provided them to you in a kind of little plastic bag so they are easy to transport, and so you are able to see them a little better. And then you should have a bag of soil that was provided to you as well, and that will be that part of the kit, and then we'll later get into the reusable grocery bag aspect. So did you know that most Americans are actually 3 generations removed from the farm? So that means your parents, your grandparents, they didn't have anything to do with farming or agriculture. That means your great-grandparents or even your great-great-grandparents were the ones who were actually on American farms. And today, most of the farming that is done is by commercial, factory, or large farms. Now that's not a bad thing, it's just those mom and pop farms that we grew to know and love in westerns or in your textbooks in school, they're not there anymore, which is kind of sad. In a 2011 survey, 72% of people that were actually surveyed reported that they actually knew little to nothing about agriculture. So our goal today is for you to learn just a little bit more. There are 5 basic steps that need to happen to get your food from the farm to the tables. So the farm itself. So I know we all know a little basic knowledge about farms. We know there's cows, there's pigs, there's chickens, but do you know that there's actual things that you're wearing today that are grown at farms? What I'm wearing right now, it was grown on a farm. It was grown with cotton, and there's a poly blend in there too that was mixed and that was created, but this derived from a farm. You actually are eating bacon, maybe sausage, things like that came from a farm. There's corn that was from your table, there's bread, then that's wheat that comes from farms, but that is the farm aspect itself. Things have to be grown to get to you. And then things have to be processed. So processing involves simple things like lettuce, where all it has to do is come from the ground, be washed, packaged, and sent to the store. But then you can also have things where you have hamburger, you have bacon itself. Those have to go through some specialized processing things and actions to actually get to you. And once the processed meat gets to you at the store, that is actually the part of the processing done there. So with processing, after that step, you have transportation. Now, a lot of you know that transportation is just cars, but with farming, imagine that. Imagine taking bushels and bushels of corn in your car. I couldn't fit any kind of bushel of corn in my car. I couldn't fit any wheat. I couldn't fit any hay in my car. So that's where 18-wheelers, trains, boats, planes, that's where all of that comes in. You have to transport all of those goods and those items to the stores in varying countries, varying different states. We actually import a lot of pork, a lot of grain from Iowa, Illinois, all those areas, because we don't specialize in certain crops that other states do, and vice versa. So they give us some things and we give them some things. Then once it's transported via truck, train, or air to your actual grocery store, it's sold in the grocery store or in the farmer's market or online. A lot of us obviously have to buy some things online, and you can actually buy groceries through Amazon, through Whole Foods, through things like that. And that is the retail market aspect of that next step. And then finally, it goes to your table. You're actually able to go to the store, get it online, like I said, or you're able to just purchase the good and it's able to get to you for you to consume. So technology is changing the way we think about food as it gives people more and more access to information at their fingertips. From 2012 to 2016, the sources that have experienced the highest increase of trust regarding our food production have included food companies, bloggers, and food retailers. This suggests that there have been an increased focus on mass and social media to share information and educate people on how their food is actually produced and where it comes from. So at this point, we are ready to plant our crops. So what I want you to do right now, I want you to pause, I want you to take a little breather, and then I want you to come back for about a minute, minute and a half, and we're going to start with our terracotta pot activity. So now that you've had a little break, we're going to grab our terracotta pot and we're going to decorate it however you would like. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to put some little polka dots all over it, but you have your just colored paint pen that I provided with you, or provided to you, and you can just decorate however you want. So just go ahead and get started. All right, so my pot is all decorated. I'm going to close my paint pen so it doesn't make a mess, and I'm going to set it to the side. So now what we want to do, you should have received a peat pot that looks something similar to this. It is going to be kind of a cardboard material, and it's going to kind of stink a little bit, but that is because it is a composite material made up of different biodegradable things that you can actually plant, and that will actually biodegrade into your soil and help your plant with its rigidity as it grows, and it will actually help stabilize the soil. So what we're going to do, you're going to grab your peat pot, you're going to grab your little mini bag of soil, and you're going to fill your peat pot halfway with soil. You can kind of tamp it down. If there's little wood pieces in there, kind of try to take them out. You don't want the wood to block your roots of your little plant. Okay, so I've tamped down my soil a little bit. Now I'm going to grab the seeds that I have. So in my case, I have pea seeds, but you should have been provided a squash seed, which is going to be long and skinny and white. You should have been provided a pumpkin seed, or you should have been provided a lettuce seed. The pumpkin seed is going to be about a half quarter or a dime size, and it's going to be kind of a tan white color, and then you have the little tiny lettuce seeds that are going to look almost similar to the soil, and each of those requires a different planting depth. So if you have the larger seeds, they're going to be planted about 1 inch into the soil. If you have the skinnier seeds, they're going to be planted about 1/2 inch into the soil, and then the little lettuce seeds you can just sprinkle on top and just cover with a little bit of your soil. So in my case, I have a larger seed, so I'm going to plant it about 1 inch into the soil. You plant it, and then you grab a little bit more of your soil. You sprinkle that on top, and you are good. So once we have our seed planted into our peat pot, you're going to grab your terracotta pot that was off to the side. You're going to plant the rest of the soil, or as much as you can, to fill the terracotta container, leaving a little room for a divot in the middle, or a kind of hole or indentation. Again, check for those wood pieces so you don't get those in the way of your actual seed as it grows. Break up any clumps that you need. You're going to get that little divot out, and then you're going to set your peat pot inside of it. So the reason we did not go all the way to the top with our peat pot, with our soil, is because the peat pot is actually going to stick out of the top of the terracotta pot. And as that degrades, it's actually going to go into the soil a little more. So if you notice on the sides, it needs a little more soil, so we're going to very carefully fill that up. If you make a mess, that's fine. We can clean it up. But you just kind of pack in soil on the sides. Do the best that you can, just so your peat pot doesn't move very much. I'm making quite the mess, but it's okay. And then pack that in there. Once you have it looking like this, you're going to clean up a little bit. You're going to take your terracotta pot at this point, you're going to put about a 1/2 cup to a 1/4 cup of water, and you're going to set it in a very sunny window, and then you'll be done. Okay, so now that we've planted your crop and it's in a sunny place and it's watered, we are going to now create our reusable grocery bag so you can take it on your next grocery trip to the store, or your parents can take it, grandparents can take it. Let's have some fun. So first, you're going to grab the white t-shirt that you were provided. You're going to take it and you're going to fold it in half. Make sure the sleeves line up. This shirt's a little wrinkly, so it may be a little harder, so I would probably recommend washing and then drying your shirt first. But do your best to smooth it out and line up the sleeves. You will need some scissors for this project, so make sure you have scissors. Our first step is to actually cut off the sleeves. You're going to go about 1 inch in from the seam of the sleeve. So we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut off our sleeves. Okay, set your sleeves to the side. Once you have your sleeves cut, you notice your collar is now in half. Make sure again that you are lining everything up because you don't want your grocery bag to be lopsided. So I'm going to fix it a little bit. With our collar, what we're trying to achieve here is we're actually creating the straps of the grocery bag. So I want a kind of thick strap on the grocery bag, so I'm going to come in just to about there on the collar, and I'm going to create a U cut. You need to make it deep enough where you can actually put the groceries into the bag. Just follow the shape of the actual collar. And if you don't like how shallow that is, you can actually go a little further depending on the size of your t-shirts. But it doesn't really matter. It's just as long as you can get the groceries actually into the bag. So now we've created a tank top-like shape. So we're going to focus on the bottom. So this is going to be kind of the tricky part. You need to make sure that your hem, or the very bottom of the t-shirt, is lined up. If it's not lined up, it's going to be rather tricky in a second when we cut our fringe to tie the bottom of the grocery bag closed. So cut straight across. And this doesn't have to be a specific measurement. This is just to get the hem off. Try to make it as straight as possible. And just discard the piece that you cut off. And now we're going to focus on the bottom. So on the bottom, here in a second, we're going to create 1 inch wide fringe and then 2 inch tall. So that'll be about this wide by that tall. And your goal is to create fringe all across the bottom, so in the end we can tie them together to create a secure bottom for your grocery bag so your groceries don't fall out. So an easier way that I found to do this, fold your shirt back in half, make sure everything's lined up, kind of smooth it out. And you're going to start cutting. Again, about 1 inch wide by 2 inches tall. So once you've cut your fringe and it's all the way across the bottom, now we're going to actually tie our fringe together. So it's very important that you tie 3 different rows of this. If you cannot tie 3 different rows just because your fringe is too short, that's okay, but just pay attention to the second row because that's the most important row. So you're just going to tie them in a knot, just a single knot, you don't have to double it, all the way across the bottom. And once you get it going, it goes a little quicker. It's just those first couple ones are kind of challenging. Just a single knot all across the bottom. Okay, now we've got our entire first row done. So go back to the front of your first row, and you're going to want to find the first knot you created. So if you notice, there's a hole right here in between the first and the second knots. So in order to make that hole go away, you're going to find your first knot. You're not, no pun intended, going to retie that. You're going to go to the next little piece of fringe and you're going to tie those together. When you go from the first knot to the second knot and tie those, instead of retying the first, it closes that hole. So you're just going to want to follow that down again for the second row. Just find the two little right sides and left sides of the knot that are next to each other that have the hole in the middle, and you're going to actually tie those together. This just again reinforces the bottom of your bag, and it gets that hole to go away. Because if you have things like green beans, or if you have things like onions, they can actually go through these holes because they will stretch it and they will fall through, and that won't be any fun. And this allows you to carry heavier things like cans, maybe even milk, things like that. Just go through, closing those holes. And now you just go up to the top of your grocery bag, stretch the handles out, and there you have it, a finished grocery bag. You can go to the store, you can go get groceries, you can go to the farmer's market, put things in there. It's pretty strong. You can, an alternate way to do this is actually turn it inside out. And so if you don't want to have the fringe there, you don't have to have the fringe there. But I like the fringe, it adds a little extra. You can decorate it with your paint pen, however you want to. But that is the grocery bag. So thank you for just staying with us today. Thank you for putting together this little project. Thank you for planting your plants, and I hope you know more now about your farm to table project.